Graziano, what can you tell us about the Seahawks' plans for Super Bowl MVP Kenneth Walker III?
Well, as Adam Schefter reported this morning, the Seahawks not expected to use the tag on Kenneth Walker III, the Super Bowl MVP. If they cannot get a long-term deal done with him by the start of free agency next month, that means he will hit free agency and likely be a popular guy on the market following his strong postseason. Similar in Cincinnati, Trey Hendrickson not likely to receive the franchise tag from the Bengals simply because it's a little cost prohibitive. Remember, the Bengals weren't eager to pay Trey Hendrickson what he wanted this time last year, and it led to a protracted dispute. I think the Bengals wish Trey Hendrickson well, and he signed somewhere else, ending his time in Cincinnati. Kyle Pitts, tight end for the Falcons. He seems like a candidate to get tagged. Tight end tag likely to come in around $16.5 million. That would make Kyle Pitts a top 5 highest paid tight end in the league. He's coming off a strong season, but he's had inconsistencies with health and production throughout his career. Falcons may want to see another strong season before committing long term. And then in Dallas, wide receiver George Pickens, very likely to get the tag. For wide receivers, should come in a little bit north of $28 million. If Pickens and the Cowboys want to work out a long-term deal, they'll have all summer to do it. But it seems like the Cowboys will want to use the franchise tag to keep George Pickens off the free agent market while they continue to talk to him about a long-term deal to keep him there playing alongside CeeDee Lamb. And you see some other names here that we are watching, Courtney. Colts have a couple of candidates, and they can only use one tag. We'll see what happens. And some of these running backs, I'll be interested to see what happens. Travis Etienne, Breece Hall, are they candidates for the franchise tag, which would come in around $14.5 million for running back? Or maybe a transition tag, which would come in about $3 million less, but would not entitle them to any compensation if someone else came along and signed that guy.
Okay, we'll get into some of those names and what their futures could hold here in just a little bit. But how about an explainer? Franchise tag allows teams to keep players on a one-year guaranteed deal, and there's 3 different types of tags that teams can use. The most common one is the non-exclusive franchise tag. That's where a player gets the average of the top 5 salaries at his position. His team can match an offer, and if they don't, sign somewhere else, they receive 2 first-round picks. The exclusive tag binds a player to his team, and it is more expensive for that team. And then the other option is the transition tag, which pays the average of the top 10 salaries at the position, and the tagging club, in turn, would receive no compensation if that player leaves for another team. The deadline to tag a player, March 3rd, so a couple weeks going on as we get ready for a busy NFL offseason. Courtney Cronin here alongside Mike Tannenbaum, Dan Graziano, and Sam Acho. Graz, you mentioned it. Adam Schefter reporting earlier this month that the Dallas Cowboys are expected to tag wide receiver George Pickens. So, Mike, knowing that this is likely the outcome, if you're Dallas, how soon does your thinking shift to working out a long-term deal with Pickens before that July 15th deadline?
Well, ideally, you would like to do that, but this is a much harder deal to get done than what we saw with Micah Parsons a year ago, where you just say, hey, Micah Parsons, you're the best pass rusher in the league, and you go to the top of it. This situation is much more complex because I'm sure Dallas is going to say, hey, look at Cincinnati, T. Higgins, $28.7 million. We're going to make you the highest paid number 2 receiver. And he's going to say, hey, guess what? 93 catches, 1,400 yards, 9 touchdowns. I want to be paid $40 million a year like Jamar Chase. So this one just seems like this is going to be the franchise tag. We know how Dallas comports himself. They're going to wait till the last minute. This is a tough deal to get done.
Yeah, I think that the franchise tag is the right decision for the Dallas Cowboys. And I think it's the right decision for George Pickens as well. George Pickens had a career year alongside CeeDee Lamb. And I understand that the goal, the ask might be for a longer-term deal. But I think Cowboys need to get a franchise tag done with George Pickens. Now, once they get that done, they need to address the defensive side of the ball. Defensive line, I think they're set. Quentin Williams on the inside, Kenny Clark. We need to get edge rushers situated. They need to get cornerbacks situated. They have DeMarvion Overshoulder inside linebacker, but I think step 1 is to give the franchise tag to George Pickens. Step 2, address what was a struggling and atrocious defense. Yes, there's a new defensive coordinator in town. some new players on the inside we talked about that were signed this year, but we need to get the edge rushers if you're the Dallas Cowboys and the corners.
The Cowboys have got a lot of accounting they've got to do ahead of the new league year. They're currently around $31 million over the cap. They're also slated to pick 12th overall in April's draft. All right, let's move on to the Atlanta Falcons. New Falcons head coach Kevin Stefanski and president of football Matt Ryan are looking to lead Atlanta back to the playoffs for the first time since 2017. In addition to figuring out what to do with tight end Kyle Pitts, the Falcons will also be trying to figure out their quarterback situation. Graz, with the Falcons set to release Kirk Cousins, what's their plan to address their quarterback room while Michael Penix recovers from that ACL injury we know he had late in the 2025 season?
Yeah, Courtney, I think the Falcons' quarterback plan is fluid, which makes a lot of sense. New head coach, new GM, new team president. So a lot will depend on Michael Penix, his recovery timeline, and how sold the new administration is on Penix as the long-term starter. My sense of it is they do want to give him more time to develop in that role, but the question, as was noted on the graphic, who plays quarterback week 1? Can Penix be back in time? If not, who do you bring in to play, to take the offseason reps and potentially play if Penix is not able to go week 1? They could bring back Kirk Cousins after releasing him. But Cousins at this point in his career likely wants to go somewhere where he has a clear chance to be the starter. There's also some chatter about Cousins stepping away into a TV role. The reviews were pretty good on his performance Super Bowl week for CBS. So we don't know if Cousins is going to want to come back to Atlanta if they're not going to start him. If Penix is ready to go, or if they have a good feeling about Penix's recovery, you'll probably see the Falcons go out and get a veteran backup type who could start in the meantime if Penix isn't ready. And this is where you think about a guy like, not kidding, Joe Flacco or a Tyrod Taylor, someone like that. Maybe a Jacoby Brissett if you can lure him out of Arizona. Guys like that can take the offseason reps and can be capable starters if Penix continues to struggle with health.
Or maybe a guy like Derek Carr coming out of retirement and stepping in Atlanta. I do like the idea of Michael Penix being the guy for Atlanta in their future, at least their future for right now. Michael Penix still needs some time to develop. You have a brand new head coach. You have a brand new president of football operations in Matt Ryan, a new general manager. And so this is somewhat of a rebuild. That's what it looks like, or at least seems like, with all these new pieces in the front office. And so I don't think it's wise to go try to trade up and get a quarterback in this year's draft. Go with Michael Penix. Maybe you draft someone later, mid-round, and have that player develop as well. And then see what Michael Penix does this season. And if he's successful, you have your quarterback of the future. If not, you go next year and you draft a guy then. So I think Michael Penix is the guy, and maybe bring in a rookie who can continue to develop and challenge him as well.
This is a wild situation we're talking about with quarterbacks we won't let retire, others that we might be going into retirement if we're the Atlanta Falcons, thinking about how they can solve that situation. But Mike, as Graz mentioned earlier, there is a decision here to also be made on Kyle Pitts. He had that great season as a rookie in 2021, kind of was on the decline, but then all of a sudden last year, an emergence. Career highs in touchdowns and in receptions. What should Atlanta do with their top tight end?
I would transition him, and here's why, Courtney. Ironically, there's a lot of transition going on in Atlanta between Matt Ryan, Ian Cunningham, their new general manager, and obviously their new head coach, Kevin Stefanski. And Graz alluded to it earlier. Kyle Pitts had an outstanding season, 88 catches, 5 touchdowns, but there has been a lot of questions about productivity and durability. So you could save about $2.5 million in transitioning him instead of franchising him. Obviously, you run the risk of losing him, which is very doubtful, just given the fact of where people are with offer sheets. So I think it's a way for Atlanta to hedge their bet a little bit.
All right, the Falcons rattled off 4 straight victories at the end of last season, but of course that wasn't enough. Hollow winning streak for a team that was eliminated from playoff contention in Week 14. Jacksonville, where general manager James Gladstone spoke about the team's potential plans for Travis Hunter.
We still expect him to play on both sides of the ball. Obviously, you can take a peek at, expiring contracts on our roster and which side of the ball has more. Obviously, at this point, walking into the offseason, corner is a position that we have a few guys who are on expiring contracts. So by default, you can expect there to be a higher emphasis on his placement. The steps that he was taking made us feel good about what the back half of the year was going to be on both sides of the ball.
Acho, I keep hearing both sides of the ball there, but is the right approach for the Jags to prioritize Hunter on defense?
Absolutely, it's the right approach. Travis Hunter is a generational talent when it comes to playing corner. And yes, he won the Biletnikoff Award, which is the best receiver in college football. But what he can do at cornerback is just different. He has a natural feel, skill, and ability to play that position at a high level. Now, he should also have a role on offense based off his skill set there. But the focus, I believe, should be on corner.
Okay, let's move on to Indianapolis, where wide receiver Alec Pierce had this to say about fellow pending free agent Daniel Jones.
I was really impressed with him, and I think, they got to try and get him back here this year. I know he's a free agent, and I'm sure they're going to be doing whatever they can to bring him back. So, but I think that's a sign for good future for him.
Some big decisions, but only one franchise tag. Graz, what more can you tell us about the Colts' plan for these two pending free agents?
Courtney, it's not unlike the situation Daniel Jones was in 3 years ago with the New York Giants when they were faced with the decision, do they franchise him, do they franchise Saquon Barkley? They ended up signing Daniel Jones to a long-term deal, franchising Saquon. None of that worked out. Neither one's there anymore. So the Colts need to make a better decision. They will want to bring back both of these players, but Daniel Jones most likely the priority, and that means if they cannot get a deal done with him by March 3rd, he's likely to be the one who gets franchised, which would make Alec Pierce an extremely attractive free agent option on the free agent wide receiver market. This is a guy that has averaged almost 22 yards per catch over the last 2 seasons, brings a rare element that a lot of offenses are going to be looking for. Colts would love to bring both of these guys back, but it likely requires them to get a long-term deal done with one of them in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, some tough decisions to be made. In addition to the decisions on Daniel Jones, on Alec Pierce, the Colts will have to make roster improvements despite not owning their own first-round pick in either of the next 2 NFL drafts. Both of those picks, you'll remember, were sent to the Jets in November when Indy acquired all-pro cornerback Sauce Gardner. Acho, do you think the Colts should prioritize bringing back a quarterback? It seems like it's kind of an important position here as they go towards the offseason. Should that guy be Daniel Jones?
Absolutely.